welcome to our next lesson. We're working from the Celebrate Theory Level 1, and today we're going through Unit 5. Today's lesson is about scales. What are scales? How do we make scales? What patterns do they have? What components are part of scales? So the first scale that we're going to learn, which is, if you're a pianist, the first scale that you learned to play was C major. So we're going to go to a C major scale. I'm just going to grab my crescendo program. Here we go. Move that up. So for a C major scale, I'm just going to use whole notes because unless your theory book indicates to use quarter notes or half notes, standard, we just use whole notes. So let's first get our C major scale written in. And previously we talked about trying to space the scale out to cover the entire line of staff that they give you. So here we've reached the end of our staff. So there's a scale. A scale has 8 notes in it. It starts on, this one starts on C, and it ends on the same note. It ends on a C. Now, in those 8 notes, we need to figure out how do we know what the pattern is here? Because in each scale, you're going to see an arrangement of whole tones and half steps. Another name for half steps is a semitone. So let's look at the scale. I'm just going to grab this writer out. So to start with, between the C and the D, we are going to see a tone. Actually, I should just write in fully. It's a whole tone. I don't like how that went. I'm just going to delete that. I think for the sake of the program here, I'm just going to use the word tone. Okay. Okay, I think we got it. Okay. And then between the D and the E, we're going to see another tone. So put that in. And here's where it changes a bit. Between the E and the F is actually a half tone. So there's our first half tone. And then between the F and the G, we're going to see another tone. Between the G and the A, pushing capital, is another tone. Between A to B is a tone. Do it again. And then lastly, between the B and the C, we have another half tone. So in each of those tones, we're going to find 2 half tones. Because on a keyboard, from C to C sharp is a half tone, and C sharp to D is another half tone. So 2 of those together will give us our tone. So to write a major scale pattern, you need to see the pattern tone, tone, half tone, 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 half tone. It doesn't matter which note you start on the keyboard. You can start on D, G. You're always going to see that same pattern to form a major scale. And you're always going to have 8 notes, and you always start on the note, the letter name of the key you want, and you end on that same note. So if you started on G, you're going to end on G. Now, there's a bit more to this than what we've done here. We actually have 2 parts to this scale. So we have the first part is from C, and it goes all the way to F. So I'll just put another symbol there. So everything in there is called the lower part. Okay, so it's a group of 4 notes. And then we're going to have from the G, so we'll put another symbol there, going up to the next C, another symbol. And that is, you probably guessed it, it's called the upper part. So we have groups of 4 notes, the lower part and an upper part when we're writing scales. Okay, now the note that we start on is called, I'm just going to go low enough, is called the tonic. So C in the scale is your tonic note. And we also use a Roman numeral 1 to indicate a tonic note. The other note that's very important at this level is the 5th note of the scale. So C, D, E, F, G. G is the 5th note, and we call that note the dominant. And when you're using symbols in music, you will see a Roman numeral 5 to indicate the dominant note. And the note we end on, again, is the tonic note. Oops. Tonic, because it's another C. And again, you're going to use the Roman numeral 1 to indicate the tonic. So in your work on Unit 5, page 48, they're going to ask you to mark in the tonic notes and the dominant notes. So wherever you see the tonic and identify the first note on the scale, you're going to write Roman numeral 1, and then you'll write Roman numeral 5 underneath the fifth note of that scale. Okay. And I think that covered it for the C major scale. Now, this isn't the only scale that you're going to be writing in this unit. So I'm just going to delete all of this. The other scale that you're going to be writing is a G major scale. So because they're asking for G major scale, you're going to start on G. And again, we move up to each letter name, spreading it across the entire keyboard. Now in G major scale, I'll come back to that F. But there you have G through G, a group of 8 notes. But there's something special in this scale that we're going to discover shortly. So I'm just going to first put in my whole tones and my half steps. So between G to A is a tone. And we know that the next one we want to be a tone as well. So A to B is a tone. B to C, if you're thinking of the keyboard, it's actually a half step because B goes directly to C without any flats, sharps in between. Going from C to D is our tone. We're looking for a few more tones. D to E is a tone. Now, E to F is actually a half step when you're thinking of a keyboard, but that's not what we want here. We are looking for a tone because our pattern for a major scale is tone, tone, half step, tone, 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 half step. So we are going to do something to the F in order to make it a tone. And I can't actually go back in the music program to change this. I need to add a sharp. So I'm going to have to delete my words here and that last note to show you that when we're writing the F, in order to get that tone, we're going to need to add a sharp to this. So that gives us a tone. And then lastly, we have our G. So that would be a G major scale. E, this E to the F sharp is a tone, and the F sharp to the G is a half step. So G major scale, and the G would be your tonic. The top G is your tonic, and D is the dominant. So you use the Roman numeral 5 there. Okay, and then you have one more scale to write in this unit, and it's an F major scale. So when they ask for F major scale, you start on F, and yes, you go all the way up. Oh, but we need to follow our tones and our half step. So on this B, I need to add a flat because A to a regular B would actually be a tone, but we're looking for a half step. So I had to lower the B closer to the A to give us that half step that we needed. So after the B, we have C, D, E, and F. So that would be our F major scale. It follows again the pattern of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So we have the right distance between the notes there. So in this unit, I'm skipping page 49 right now and come back because it's a different video. But the scales you're going to write on page 48, page 50, page 51. Page 52 goes into the F major scale that we covered. And that takes us through the scales in Unit 5. Please remember that even when, I'm just going to stop the share here, that when you're working through that unit, we only gave samples today of writing the scale in the treble clef, but they're going to ask you to write the same scales, C major, G major, and F major scale in the bass clef. Another thought is, in your music that you're playing, at this level, you've probably already been playing with key signatures and have learned about key signatures in your lessons. However, in this theory unit, at the moment, for this lesson, you do not need to write in key signatures. We're simply going to add accidentals, and you've learned that in a previous lesson that accidentals are sharps, flats, or naturals that you add right beside the note you're writing. So we're going to use accidentals in this unit in order to get the major scale written with the right tones and semitones in. If you'd like me to see your work, please send me an email. My email is on my page. And I'd be happy to help you if you had any questions about major scales in this unit. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.